You coming up to Saturday's game, mate, or not?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm toying with the idea of coming and doing a Wedders and just leaving before the game finishes.
Coming and doing a Wedders?
Just leaving early.
Is that what you said to me?
What time did you go home last week when we beat North?
I went home just before three-quarter time.
See? Doing a Wedders.
Doing a Wedders.
So doing a Wedders. That's pretty ordinary Wedders, isn't it?
No comment.
All right, well, Bards, you had an excuse not to watch it. Anna and I pushed our way through it. I must say a bottle of red got me through to the end of the game. Scores.
Hang on. I lost my page.
Greg the stop sign. Greg the stop sign.
Doesn't go to games, doesn't watch games, not prepared for the post-match report. This is why the Bards line has no cred.
It's one of those games that you choose to forget, so I've forgotten the scores.
Give me some help with the votes because I didn't watch it after half-time.
GWS 16, 12, 108, Hawthorn 14, 14, 98.
Greg the stop sign. Greg the stop sign.
Do you realise, Bards, that we win one week, we lose the next? It's almost like Premier League where you win at home and you lose away. But when we win by more than 10 goals, and when we lose by about 10 points or less.
I don't think it's possible to win a grand final on that form, though.
I delved back into the record books. In 1991, round 7, we had a bye in one of those rounds, and we were 3-3. We went on to win a premiership. But then I delved into 2009, and we were 3-3 after 6, and we finished 9th. So I'm not sure where we go. Adam, where will we end up, you reckon?
Well, I don't think we'll finish 9th. To be a legitimate chance of winning a flag, particularly with the way the interstate clubs are shaping up, we've got to finish top 2. I think top spot, well, one of those 2 spots is now gone. I can't see Fremantle missing a top 2 spot. I still think Hawthorn will finish 2nd in the home and away, but I tell you what, if they play like they did on Saturday, I'm not going to watch them anymore.
They've given you a lot of joy in the last couple of years, Adam. You're ready to jump off already.
Well, given you didn't see the game, Bards, I'll enlighten you.
Greg the stop sign. Greg the stop sign.
It was unwatchable dross from a bunch of blokes that were protecting themselves, playing bruise-free footy and afraid to get their hands dirty. And that is what we've seen since the start of the season. And I'm not sure whether it's they are complacent or what the situation is, but if they play like that for the remainder of this season, there will be no three-peat, you can rest assured.
Well, that goes without saying. It was pretty obvious. I did see most of the first half, and there was just refusal to kick the ball to the right spots, and we couldn't keep up with them on the rebound. It was terrible.
It's interesting that teams are actually beating us on a couple of points. One is they've got the number of our left side players. Have you seen the extent to which guys like Birchall and Suckling and co are getting shut down when they go on their left side, so they're not getting that penetration, some of those guys running out of the back line? I think that's number one. And I think we go forward, if they actually get over the back of us, they just beat us for speed, which is phenomenal given we went and recruited speed in guys like Hawthorn, who I thought played quite well, Hill, Smith. Don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a couple of times on the weekend I noticed that, we had a good run going forward and we just go one too many handballs or just miss a little fumble, and then they just turned around and went back the other way. And whether maybe blokes aren't running back hard enough, I'm not sure. But yeah, it seems to be one week we do it and the next week we don't. So interesting thing is, the players that look great when we win are the same ones that aren't looking as good when we lose. A bloke like Segler, for instance, who I thought he did really well against North, and then this week wasn't really among it against our big body in Mumford. So you don't know. You're saying, is he not up to it, or does he just need to play well for us to win? It's hard to judge.
I'll defend Segler there, Bards, just quickly, mate. He had absolutely no support from McAvoy, who, in my opinion, has been an abject failure since he walked in the door. Not even aside from the grand final last year where he was okay, but he played a lot of time at Box Hill. Did not offer Segler any support when Mumford was monstering him on the weekend. It was pathetic, quite frankly.
He made a lot of...
He bashed us black and blue, and he's a great ruck, and we got what we deserved. It looked as though GWS had a very simple game plan, win as much ball at the clearances as they could and kick it to whoever was standing on shoal makers, and it happened to be Jeremy Cameron who had a field day.
Going to be a fair play, that kid, isn't he?
Well, talking of Cameron, I said at 6:25, I note here, note the Bards and Wedders. Can we discuss Langer's game this week? That's not Mark Langdon. Together with Showmakers versus Cameron. Let's start with the latter, Showmakers. I think a lot of people are so frustrated now, but I'm going to at least acknowledge this, and that is the poor kid who said, look, I'm not going to go anywhere and I'm going to give this a shot at Hawthorn, has actually been training as a forward. So we've put him back there because there's been no other choice, maybe Litherland, but then we would have been short. So is it fair to really have a crack at the guy or just say, bloody hell, try him up forward? Because my other point later on, Adam, was Ruffy. Where the bloody hell is he? We need to go get Lara Bindle to find him.
Well, I accept that. I accept what you're saying, but I'm going to give you a couple of counterpoints. Ryan Schoenmakers has played 79 senior games, probably another 50 games in the VFL. Been in the system 7 seasons. We're not talking about a second-year kid or a rookie or a project player. He's been in the system 7 seasons. Now, I know he had a knee injury, so allow him a year for that and a year to rebuild his fitness and so forth. That's still 5 years of footy. If he was any good as a forward, he'd be playing as a forward. He's had every opportunity afforded to him. He kicked 4 against St Kilda in a 25-goal belting last year, but other than that has shown nothing as a forward. Shown even less as a defender. Runs around like a headless chook and has no game awareness whatsoever. And it's not personal, but it's high time everybody stop defending the kid. We've just simply got to say he's not an AFL footballer. That's not his fault. We've built him up to be something he's not, but we've got to cut ties.
All right. And Bards, Langers.
He must have something wrong with his feet, both of them, because he refuses to kick the ball at the moment, which is pathetic. I don't know if opposition are putting a bit of work into him following his final series, but so often always looking for that extra handball where he could just be whacking the ball on the boot and trying to hit a target. Maybe he's worried about his kicking because it does let him down at times. But yeah, he just needs to use the ball better. He's still getting his hands on it, but we're just getting no drive out of him. So something's not right.
All right, the last one, Adam, is Ruffy.
Yeah, he's playing like a guy who he sort of shows up when he feels like it a little bit. You know, I think he's got a lot of credits in the bank though, so I'm not going to sit here and bag him. But certainly at the moment, his output is not what it should be.
He's always been the same though, Ruffy. He always has up weeks and down weeks, and generally speaking, when the side's playing well, he steps up, and he's probably not the guy who's going to drag you over the line. You know, he relies as a forward on some decent ball use and but yeah, I think, as you said, he's got plenty of credit. He'd have to go a lot longer with that performance before I'd be worried about him.
Oh, I was going to call him a flat track bully, but he has played a couple of big games in important matches for us today, yeah. Something's got to give at the moment, boys.
Well, to be fair, there was none bigger than Port Adelaide in the preliminary final last year, Wedders, so we'll give him that. All right, talking of goal kickers, Bards, anything to say?
Yeah, we had 10 again, and we lost. Which is unusual, but yeah, 10 goal kickers, a couple of multiples in there. But it's the way the stats went. You have a look at the stats after the game. As I said, I didn't see much of the second half, if any. And I looked at the stats afterwards and thought, how did we lose? Most of the ones that mattered, we won. So it's disappointing, and that included our goal kicking. But yeah, we'll have to move on.
So, Bards, the votes that Adam gave to you.
Yes, I've had a little bit of help here because I didn't see enough of the game, but we've got Burgoyne in 5, Mitchell 4, Hartung 3, Duray 2, and Smith 1.
All right, and on that very ordinary note, Adam, we're going to go to a song during the break. This was one that was played during the Hawthorn North Melbourne game, and as we discussed, like North Melbourne, it's overrated. smoke on the water, Adam? Overrated?
Yeah, it's overrated. Matthew Suckling's overrated, and got a few overrateds at the moment.
All right. Now, we're into that territory of our topical subjects of bass, wax. Bards, do you have a blast?
I do, mate.
Indicated. Right shoulder up. Who? 1, 2, 3, 4. Left shoulder up. Who? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I had one sort of prepared, but we touched on Langers already, so I don't normally like to blast me home, but blast was basically going to be kick the bloody ball. But in light of today's, I've got a little blast for the Essendon Football Club. We are totally shocked, blindsided, had no idea this was coming. Are they kidding themselves? Of course there was always going to be an appeal. All these Essendon supporters getting up in arms about, Asada this, they're bad, Wedders bad. Have a look at the club, not them. They're doing their jobs. Hopefully it's over quickly, but move on.
All right. Wedders a whack?
Just touched on it. There are a couple of myths in football. Ross Lyon is a myth, and the other great myth in football at the moment is Matthew Suckling and this alleged elite left foot that he has. What an absolute load of old cobblers. The bloke misses as many targets as he hits, and for every 60-metre lace he kicks onto a teammate's chest, there are 3 or 4 that he shanks, dinks, makes a poor decision, scrubs along the ground. And given the guy has absolutely nothing else to his game, you would think that his kicking has got to be a little bit better than what it is right at the moment.
So now we'll take a break. Before we review the game, gentlemen, I finally got around to doing 2004's nearest to the pin. If you remember the rules, to qualify you had to have participated in at least 10 winning matches. It was the combination of your 10 best scores, so your 10 lowest scores in the 10 or more winning games, and 14 people qualified. And I put up who the top 5 were, and there was a nice little cute thing amongst all that, Bards, that I noticed. Did you see Mr. and Mrs. Wedlock were actually in the top 5?
I saw Mrs. Wedlock and Mr. Weddlecock.
Yeah, well done, idiot. Well spotted.
Well, the Wedlocks, how sweet is this? They both finished on 107 points each.
My wife cheats a lot.
Bards, they beat you by 1 point.
Oh, really?
Yep. Don't worry about me. I was out there on 125. But second was Jeff Smith.
Oh,
on 86.
Unlucky. Chin up.
Only beaten by 1 point. Here he is, all the way from New Zealand, one Mr. Mark Langdon on 85.
Whoa.
So, as a result, I was able to bring this year's spreadsheet in order. Given that we've only won 3 games, it made it quite easy to do at this stage. And in the lead, having participated in all 3 winning games, is Mario Trevuzio, a former colleague of mine, and he's on 55, followed closely by Alan Forsyth on 60.
Geez, there's some high scores already.
Well, don't forget, if you participate, the high scores drop out.
That's because we've won our 3 games by heaps and people haven't been saying heaps.
No, basically. So keep hanging in there. We've got a fair few participants, 20 so far this year in winning games, and there clearly have been people who have participated in the losing games. So people, hang on in there, and again, congratulations to Mark for the winning 2014.
Great. Just quickly, what happens if we don't win 10 games?
It's carryover.
There's probably no show if we don't win 10 games, let's be honest.
I don't know. Is it a carryover cup?
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
All right. Melbourne, MCG, 2:10 time slot, or the $4 shop, I should call it. Interesting game. Probably expect to win. Bards, How's this going to play out?
Well, just going on the patterns, we should win it by about 60 points.
Is that what you told your psychologist, going on the patterns?
I like the traditional time of 2:10 on a Saturday afternoon. 17, there's supposed to be all that rain and sleet that we're getting for the rest of the week supposed to be gone by then, so should be a good day at the footy.
Adam, what do you expect from the game?
I actually think this will be fairly tight, and I think Melbourne will have a real crack at us. Paul Roos will set them up to defend, I think, pretty aggressively. Not the walk in the park, but it would appear. I expect Hawthorn to win, but probably get on top late by 5 or 6 goals.
Who comes in, who goes out? Or more importantly, let's start with who goes out. Shuey out?
Shuey, Suckling can go out. Litherland can come in for him.
I don't think there's any way Clarko will drop Suckling. He loves him too much. Yeah, no, Shuey and Frawley are the obvious swaps. After that, it'll just be what the coach wants to do different, I guess.
Bring in something different up forward?
Hale played at Box Hill on the weekend. Kicked 1 goal. I don't know how much game time he had. He's obviously going to be an option as he gets a bit more fitness under his belt. Can't see them bringing Grimley in to play forward, so I think they'd go with what we've got. It seemed to serve us pretty well last year. I don't think there's any reason to change it too much yet.
What about Tim O'Brien, Bards?
See, he's extended his contract during the week, so he's obviously, the club's still got high hopes for him. He'll play a few more games this year. I don't think he's set the world on fire at Box Hill yet, but
they rate him.
They do rate him. He's a very good kick for goal, and he's got a good set of hands, so I think he just needs a bit of mongrel about him, but hopefully they can get that out of him and he can come in and give us a hand.
We play Carlton twice this year, so he'll play at least 2 games.
What do you base that on, Grant?
Oh, Carlton's 4.
Who's coaching Carlton this week?
Christopher Pine, isn't he?
I'm a fixer.
In fact, we have an interview with Christopher Pine, don't we, telling us about how he's going to fix Carlton, which we'll bring to everyone next week. Bards, you're going to run with that interview, aren't you?
We're looking forward to it.
Excellent. So we better tee off. So Bards, nearest to the pin.
4!
37 points for me.
Adam, how close do you think it'll be?
4!
Yeah, I think Bards is going to be very close to the mark. I'll say 34 points.
Okay, and I'll stick with
4!
23, given that we were talking about Tim O'Brien previously. So, on that note, it's Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.